Ooh, what's good, family? So, mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. Wow. You know what? After the last few weekends of poor boxing performances, we had Bumelo versus Bivol. We had Oscar Bumdes versus Shakur Stevenson. This, for me, revived what the sport's supposed to be about. The sport ain't supposed to be about, oh, turn up and if you can win easy, you win. Yeah? And yeah, Charlo won tonight, but Brian Castano restored my faith in what the sport's really supposed to be about. And really, Brian Castano's success, why Brian Castano didn't lose every round like Oscar Bumdes did. And really, to be honest with you, Canelo more or less lost every round as well, if we're honest with ourselves. The difference why, really, yeah, Charlo had the edge, but it was no more than 60-40. Yeah? And the reason that was the case, the reason, unlike Oscar Valdez and Bumelo, was because he was prepared to get stuck in. Yeah? Castano decided, I'm either going to win tonight or I'm going to lose tonight on my back. And that's a very rare quality we don't see today. Given, I mean, really, when you look at people like Charlo and Shakur Stevenson and Bivol, it's easy to turn up and lose to them kind of fighters. Anyone can turn up, put your guard up, and just follow the guy around and get your head jabbed off and get boxed to pieces, like Oscar Valdez did, like Bumelo did. It's a whole different ball game to go in there and win. Castano wanted to win tonight. He didn't want to turn up and lose on points. Oh, well, at least I survived. No, he went out on his back, and I respect that. So really, yeah, like I said, he got outgunned tonight. But really, when you look at Castano's, I think, for example, what Castano needed tonight, he needed Canelo's technique with Castano's heart. If you look at Castano's punches, there's not really much on them. He kind of pushes them. A lot of arm punches. You don't really, compared to Canelo, you see him dig a lot more. Now I'm telling you, if Bumelo don't have no heart, he don't know how to push through. Castano does, but Castano doesn't have the technique. He doesn't. His defense is pretty. His high guard's pretty solid, but he wasn't able to. When he did get his flurries going, he wasn't able to have impact. But someone who has better punch technique, Charlo would have been in proper trouble, and it would have been a much closer to a pure 50-50, if not an advantage towards Castano. But listen, let me give praise to Charlo. I wasn't that impressed with it. Like I said, Castano showed greatness in his ability, showed greatness in his level of heart tonight. That said, technique-wise, he's a limited fighter, if you get what I'm saying. I'm not saying you need to be slipping and sliding, but when you've got a bit, for example, Mike Tyson and Canelo to some extent have made walk-forward boxing effective because they get leverage in their punches. When you're a walk-forward fighter, you can't afford to be pity-patty because you've got Mike Tyson would dig people and they'd be scared out of their boots. And to be honest, even though Valdez's technique, in my opinion, needs to be worked on and not throw as many arm punches. You can watch him, his elbows caved in, they're slappy. You don't really see him turn them over a lot of his shots. And even then he was catching Charlo. And even with the technique, with the lacking technique of Castano, you can still see Charlo was running around the ring. He was running around, his back was against the ropes most of the fight, and that was the end of that. So it's not like, and that shows you how that shows you what heart can do. Despite, it was clear the power advantage was with Charlo. Charlo has better technique, simple as that, especially his 1-2. Much more power. And also, you got to remember, he's 6'1". Anyone who box knows, when you're going in there 4 inches down, it's hard work, super hard work to overcome that. And the only way really to overcome that is to get stuck in. It's the only way. These days, these small guys like Valdez and Bumelo, they think you can just, oh well, it don't work like that. When you're the smaller man, you have to walk through the fire. And Castano tonight walked through the fire. Yeah, it didn't pay off this time, but that's, when you're a smaller guy, you have to have that. You ain't going to win fights trying to be smart ass on the outside as a smaller guy, in the most part. Even look at Floyd. What great fighter did Floyd beat who was super tall? Even then, a lot of his hardest fights, I think Castillo was hard. He had 2 fights with Castillo. He had 2 fights with the other guy, whose name begins with a C. Both of them were tall. Do you know what I'm saying? Tall things is just, it's mad. Trust me, when you're tall, and obviously you're talented and athletic like Charlo is, you get the jab for free. And Charlo's got a piston jab. In fact, you almost get a 1-2 for free. I mean, look at Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis versus, what's the guy's name? The small guy from Australia or whatever, New Zealand. The point is, when you're tall, you just get jabs for free. You can jab people's nut off for free. And the only way to have a chance in a fight against someone tall and athletic like Charlo is to get stuck in. And that's what Castano did tonight. He showed, after 3 weekends on the trot of seeing small guys just resign to losing. Bomelo, Oscar Bomdes. I'm glad to see that, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad to see someone turned up to win. And yeah, Valdez can sit there and say, oh well, I didn't get knocked out yet, but you didn't win any round either. Do you know what I'm saying? So whilst on the record, it may appear that Castaño did worse than Bomelo or Valdez. That don't tell half the story. Being stopped don't tell half the story. This was more or less a 60-40, 50-50 fight. There weren't much in this fight, compared to Canelo more or less losing every round. Yeah, and also Oscar Bomdes, he lost every round. Because of this, the difference was, Mike Tyson, after the Bomelo fight versus Bivol, Mike Tyson came out and said Canelo had no jab. And I wasn't too sure about that, but guess what? Tonight with Castaño, again, despite not being a taller man, he was jabbing coming in. And I think you have to do it to keep your opponent busy, even though you're smaller and it doesn't necessarily make sense. As a smaller man, you're not going to get a jab for free. When you're taller, you can jab and there's very little risk because you've got them extra inches and you can see things coming. It's like bird's eye view. So when you're smaller, you don't get a jab for free, you can get countered, but 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, it keeps your opponent busy. So you can then walk your feet in to then get your shots off. The unfortunate thing was, yeah, Castaño jab was working, but it was when he got on the inside, his shots just weren't having the impact you need to. Now, what I will say is, someone like Canelo will chop Charlo, either one of them, to pieces, in my opinion. Assuming, well, tell a lie, he would do, because two heavy shots. I mean, Charlo had all he could handle tonight with Castaño, who wasn't generating no force. Canelo would chop that guy to pieces. Even though Canelo has no heart, he still would chop Charlo to pieces, in my opinion. That's just what it is. Also, I believe Canelo probably does have a bit of a better chin than Castaño as well. But we'd have to see. Listen, end of the day, we haven't really seen Canelo hit. Well, I guess we've seen him hit, but we haven't seen him in a proper fight, have we? Let's be real now. I guess you could say the first Triple G fight was somewhat of a proper fight. So yeah, that's not fair. We have seen Bomelo take some shots, and that's the thing. Charlo get chewed up by Bomelo. But that said, Castaño, I wish there was medals. I wish there was medals for losing, because tonight he deserves a medal for losing, especially in this era. I'm not being funny, but back 30, 40 years ago, what Castaño did tonight was standard. I'm not being funny. What he did tonight, I'm praising it, but really, that's what you should do. Yeah, you're a champion. You're supposed to defend your belt as best you can. You're not supposed to go there and just turn up to lose like Valdez did. Valdez and Canelo both turned up and rolled over. They turned up to lose, no shame. Yeah? Valdez knew he wasn't winning from the first round and did nothing to change. Canelo knew he wasn't winning from round 6 and didn't do nothing to change. There was no injection, and in fact, in this fight, in several rounds of this fight, Charlo would rock Castaño, and Castaño would be rocked and then come back. I think it might be round 6 or 7. He got rocked and just came firing back towards the end. Desperate to find a way. And he was rocked. And this is what makes me laugh. Really, Valdez, I think he got put down, but Canelo never got really rocked. Why is that relevant? Well, you haven't even been hurt yet, and you ain't even tried. It's one thing, yeah, if you try and then get turned off. Oh, I tried to go forward and I keep getting rocked or I keep getting knocked down. I get that. But even then, Castano got rocked a whole bunch of times. Keep coming forward. Canelo doesn't even take himself there. Canelo don't even want to walk through the fire. He don't even want to try and see if he can win. Too scared. And he's just sat on the rope. The big bully Canelo sat on the ropes for the whole fight. How embarrassing. Castano didn't spend no time, even when he got stopped. Well, obviously when he got stopped, but up until the point he got stopped and he was half unconscious, he was going forward, trying to find a way to win. That's true champion spirit. That's what greatness is. That's what you have to have. That the foundations of greatness. You have to have that. So yeah, technically speaking, Charlo did really what he had to do. Yeah, now it's easy for me to say that, but I wasn't massively impressed with Charlo, truth be known. I think Castano gave him all he could take, truth be known. If Castano had any more snap on them punches, it would have been peak for Charlo, in my opinion. But listen, like I said, he did what he had to do. Technically speaking, I wouldn't look at Castano and think, wow, he's a pound for pound kind of guy, if you get what I'm saying. He's not. I wouldn't consider Castano a pound for pound pressure fighter. I don't think he has the firepower. That's the problem. When you think about good pressure fighters, they have big hooks, big uppercuts. When you watch that whole fight back, you won't see it. Castano didn't throw any big, nasty shots. In comparison, when you see Canelo, or Mike Tyson, listen, I understand there's levels to the game. I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of someone in the middle who's not quite that good, but they're really the best. Mike Tyson and Alvarez are the best examples of good punch technique, and there's no reason, I'm not sure what these trainers be doing, but there's no reason you can't model your punch technique like Mike Tyson's and like Alvarez. This whole slapping business is no good. You've got to learn to twist your hips, twist your shoulders, and make it snap. If it's not snapping, don't bother. And that's how you break your opponent down. Unfortunately, a lot of Castano's effort didn't yield anything. For example, we've seen Alvarez go in there with Plant, Billy Joe, and he breaks them down because he wears them down. Yeah, and that's because your shots are having effect. I hate to say it, but Castano, his shots weren't really wearing. He did a lot of hard work. He did all that. That's the sad thing about it. He did the hard work. The hard work is walking through the fire, getting your head jabbed, taking clean shots, and still coming forward. All the hard parts, he did. He had it. He had everything. That's what frustrates me. Like I said earlier, I just wish we could take Alvarez's technique and put it in Castano. That would be a deadly guy. Because Castano has the hard stuff. He has the stuff where he has the balls that Bomelo don't have. Yeah. The easy thing's really a technique. Technique. I don't know what these trainers are doing, but technique is, anyone can have good technique. Technique isn't genetic. Technique isn't anything but studying and practicing with good technique. So it's a shame that his trainers or whatever have not drilled it into him how to punch properly, and generate real force, generate real leverage. You can, like I said, you can watch the whole fight. You can't show me one shot where you see Castano really dig in. And it's a shame, like I said, it's a shame because he really did do the hard parts. He took the jabs. His eye was bust. He's still come forward. He's still trying to find a way. And really, yeah, like I said, Charlo did what he had to do, but I didn't see. There was a few. Yeah, Charlo did fight back. He didn't roll over, but again, it's easier to fight back when you've got the firepower. Do you know what I'm saying? Charlo had the firepower, so it's almost. That's why I'm in my heart. Castano won this fight. Yeah, he lost it, but do you know what I'm saying? In terms of who really wanted it, Charlo had the firepower, but yet he was the one backing up. Really, he should have been standing toe to toe. If you got the firepower, why are you going back for? I don't get that. And that's what I'm saying. If it wasn't, Charlo didn't really take this fight from the scruff of the neck, for me. Especially when you can compare it to the Tony fight. The Tony fight, that was a rematch. He came straight out of the blocks and was on it. He weren't really on it like that, and that's what I'm saying. He was jitty. He was nervous about Castano. But fair play to the guy. He got a stoppage. Fair play to the guy. Yeah, fair play. And Castano tonight could have turned up and just stood there like Valdez and lost on points. So a lot of fighters tonight need to sit down and watch this, because that's how you're supposed to lose. You're supposed to lose in the pursuit of greatness. Because for all we know, a bit more technique from Castano and it could have gone the other way, and he could be undisputed now. Like I said, that's the pursuit of greatness. You can't tell me you watch Oscar Valdez and Canelo and say they were pursuing great. Where was that? In what round? In what round did you see Oscar Valdez pursuing greatness? Which one? Oops. Yeah. In what round? I can show you a whole bunch of rounds tonight from Castano pursuing to be great, trying to find a way to get there to the promised land. You can watch that Bivol fight. Show me what round you saw Bomelo trying to find a way. No, you didn't. He sat on the ropes and did some weird taunting thing. Oh, come on then. What? Start fighting, you pussy. Get stuck in. Yeah? And the thing is, Castano was like, people praise people like Canelo and Floyd. Oh, they take a round to get warmed in. Castano was in there winging away from round 1 as well. None of this warming up bullshit. He was in there on it like Donkey Kong, how you're supposed to be. So yeah, all around, Castano's stock really didn't decrease for me. He got caught, he was outgunned, and it is what it is. Where does Charlo go from here? I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing. I think Spence would have the beating of Charlo, to be honest with you. I don't know what it is. I'm just not really that impressed with Charlo. I don't know why I'm not, but I'm just not. I think Spence would have or assuming Spence beats. No, tell I. I think Crawford's going to beat Spence, but either way, let's assume Spence at 154. There's no one really there, is there? Let's be real now. There's no one that's super exciting there, truth be known. So yeah, Charlo's undisputed of a very weak division, in my opinion. Before that, it was Jared Hurd, who now we know ain't no good. So the 154 division is one of the weakest divisions in boxing. It reminds me of the cruiserweight division to some extent. I mean, again, Charlo's the champion, but who he really beat? Yeah, I'll give you Castano, but again, I've explained the deficiencies there. I mean, even at 160, who's there? He's got his brother there. Who else is there? Andrade's moving up. So even them weight divisions, there's a bit. I think at the end of the day, man, these cats need to start testing themselves. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I'm just not impressed with her. I'm not impressed with them divisions, to be quite frank. But fair play to the guy. Listen, he undisputed. It's a bit like Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor became undisputed, but who did he beat? And to be honest, even Crawford, man, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of these undisputeds don't count, in my opinion. I'll tell you when someone's undisputed. And even Canelo, I'm gonna be consistent here. Even Canelo, when he went undisputed, who did he beat? Oops. Yeah, I'm sorry. He beat a bunch of unproven guys. Oops. Yeah, same as Usyk. Who did he beat? At cruiserweight, beat a whole bunch of unproven guys. And it's not really their fault, because boxing today is full of unproven guys. Yeah? These days, you just rock up and get a belt, because there's so many belts. There's supposed to be one belt, and that's how you've really... Look at the UFC model is how you really find the quality. You don't find quality having 4 or 5 champions. It's impossible. How can 5 people be the best? And then what it does is it inflates values. So when you hear that, oh, Alvarez beat 3 champions, well, no, he didn't. He beat 3 dudes with belts. What does that mean? Who have done nothing? Billy Joe's beat no one from the top 10. Facts. What, David LeBum? Come on now, he weren't top 10. Yeah? Plant, he ain't beat no one in the top 10. Another one. Who else you got? What other Muppet did he beat? Smith, I guess, yeah, Smith was supposed to be decent. Yeah? Smith was supposed to be decent. So I'll give him that. I'll give Bomelo Smith. But even then, guess what? He fought Smith and couldn't stop the guy as such. Do you get what I'm saying? So the minute Bomelo fights someone decent, he can't stop them. So it's a bit like that, isn't it? It makes you think, well, yeah, you can stop Billy Joe, who ain't done nothing. You can stop Plant Pot, who ain't done nothing. Anyway, man, I've rambled on. Fair play to Charlo. For me, Castano got the win in my heart. In the people's champion tonight was Castano for me. Yeah, no doubt about it. But fair play to both men. It was great to see at the end of the fight they both embraced each other, and that's what really it's about. It's about coming in, turning up, putting all your chips in, and then win, lose or draw, take it from there. Yeah, and a lot of fighters can learn a lot from Castano, because really, in recent times, there's very few examples of people digging in. Very few. Because the quality is that poor. I mean, look at Crawford, for example. Crawford, his whole career. It's not his fault. Even Spence. I guess, to be fair, Spence, when he fought Kell Brook to some extent, but for the most part, yeah, these guys go through their careers and they're never in a hard fight, are they? Let's be real now. How many times have you seen Errol Spence in the thick of things? How many times? You don't, do you? Think about the great fights through history, Leonard and all them, man, or whoever you want. There was great fights where people would come back from. How many times have you seen Terence Crawford down on the cards and finding a way? You don't. It's a bunch of bumps. There's a whole lot of them. And that's why the one fight where we may see some adversity, i.e. Terence versus, because really, Spence versus Crawford, that is the Leonard versus Hagler and Hearns and them, man. But guess what? We don't get that. These guys just fight bums some more. So it's kind of like, fucking hell. Wait, you know what I'm saying? It's mad. All the fights you're supposed to get to see greatness, you don't. You just get them fighting bums. So, I don't know. But yeah. Fair play to Castano. No doubt about it, 1,000,000%.